Hey, what's going on, y'all? Back with another one. Back with another one. Yeah. Last time I record, it kind of the sound went out, and I think I was not talking or whatever, but I'm just looking at what's what, trying to do a historical stream and things like that nature. But I had to turn it just a little bit up, not too much, but it's just a lot going on. But my interface is probably going out, but I might have to get a new one sooner or later. But I have to talk about this. This is getting on my nerves, but let's dash it from the top. Okay, let's talk about the Caribbean culture and slavery and things like that. Let's talk about the enslavement, things like that. So we got the expect under European colonization, the New World, late 15th through 19th century, slavery took on a new radicalizing from involving the movement of millions of people from the continent, from the other, but yeah, vast slave plantation complex, and you name it. So how that goes, United States, 1860, the 18th census, we're talking about all that. So I was doing this talking, right? And then I want to maximize, myself right now. We're going to explain what that means, and we're talking. So I don't know if that has anything to do with the movements and move sets and whatever. So we're going to get into the maximum mode right here. And we're just going to read. All right here. Saint Domingo, the entire island of Hispaniola before the breakup of 1808, involving Spain and France. Hispaniola is the site of the first prominent European settlement in the Americas, founded by Christopher Colon, or Columbus, however you want to say it, on his voyage in 1492, 1493. Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, in the name of its largest city. That's what they call it, Santo Domingo. And then you got Saint Domingue, known as Haiti now. The two places what it's called, and then Hispaniola, that was back then. The nickname, the Pearl of the Antilles, or something like that. But it became the richest and the most prosperous colony in the West Indies, with the system of the human enslavement used to grow and to harvest sugarcane during the time demand for sugar was high in Europe, but slavery kept prices and low profit with the maximizing of the expense of human lives. But it was an important port of the Americas and for the good and products flowing to the front of the France and Europe. But with the Treaty of the Pearl Bases of the Revolutionary France, an emergence of the major European power, but in the second 1795, in a trail base in July 22, and Spain ceded the eastern two-thirds of the island of Hispaniola, but later become the Dominican Republic, and the French settlers have begun to colonize the areas in the Spanish side of the territory. But the European colonists often died young, due to the tropical fevers, as well as from the violent slave and residents in the late 18th century, and when the French and Revolution, the abolishment of slavery. But in the colonies for February 4th in 1794. But it wasn't the first European in the colonies, and that is like that, you know. So 1800 and led with the major upheaval by the emancipated black slaves. But thousands of French troops and sent by the emancipation of black slaves, in 1802, he tried to he tried to reimpose slavery. But thousands of French troops were sent by Napoleon and reestablished slavery and succumbed to the yellow fever during the summer months. But more than half of the French army died because of the diseases after the French removed the surviving 7,000 troops in the late 1803. But the leaders of the revolution declared the Western Hispaniola, but the new nation of the independent Haiti, early in 1804. But France continued to rule Spain in the Saint Domingo in 1805, and the Haitian troops in General Henry Christophe tried to conquer all the Hispaniola, but they invaded Saint Domingo and sacked the towns of Santiago, towns of Santiago, de los Cablaros, and Mocha, and killing most of their residents. And but the news of the French fleet and sailing towards the Haiti force, General Christophe, or or something like that. Christophe, how you want to pronounce it? Christophe or something like that, or Fay or whatever. But the return in Haiti, leaving the eastern Spanish side of the eastern Spanish side of the island. And in the French hands in 1808, following Napoleon's invasion, Spain, Criollos, a person of a pure Spanish descent, of Saint Domingo revolt against the French rule, and with the aid of the United Kingdom, but Spain and Ali returns to Santiago, I mean San Santo Domingo for the Spanish control. But fearing the influence of society, but has successfully fought for the war against the enslavers. But the United States and Europe powers refused to recognize Haiti, the second republic to the Western Hemisphere. But the French demanded high payment for the compensation to the slaveholders. We lost their property, and Haiti was saddled with an unimaginable debt for the decades, and it became one of the most poorest countries in America. America's had a lot to do with it. Same with France. And shouts out to Information Man, brought it down with his video 3 years ago, talking about the Haitian Revolution, talked about the things that went on. So I ain't got much time, and this is what the people look like right here. And he talked about this 3 years ago when I saw it on the stream, and he went in depth in the side. So the census is going. So we're gonna get into it, and we're gonna get into the sailing coast. I ain't got much time, so I'm gonna get this out and explain my piece later. But I'm gonna see how much time we got. Yeah, we got 6 minutes in, but I'm gonna talk the rest of the way, and that's just how I'm gonna look at it, and then just explain. Cuba. So the census in Cuba, and this is where we show the maps and the graphs. So the current population at the time. This is data from the Voyages database greatly, and they show the Caribbean islands and percentages. I'm just reading the percentages off. Okay. Cuba, 744,247 slaves landed. Current population, 11,470,30 people. 11,400,730 people. That's the current population. See, when they was slaves landed, it was 744,000 to 247 slaves. But the current population together is 11,400,730, right? So Saint-Domingue, known as Haiti now, 692,854 slaves landed. But the current is 10,448,175 people, right? Hispaniola, known as the Dominican Republic, 29,900 slaves landed, but the current population, 10,596,332 people. A little difference in Haiti and Dominican Republic, huh? Puerto Rico, known as Puerto Rico, 25,839 slaves landed, but the current population, 3,411,307. Jamaica, 934,264 slaves landed, but the current population, 2,803,362 peoples. Barbados, 374,601 slaves landed, but the current population is 285,000 to 0.6. So they said the majority of the percentages in the Caribbean, these islands, and they mentioned Cuba, and they said indigenous Black, or they said Mongol Indians rather than from Africans, complicate the machinations of Barbados being one of the most possible exception percentage. That's what it says. But shouts out to this boy right here, realhistory.com, and salute to him. And yes, you see the Taino Indian right here. And we're going to click here just a minute. This is by Emory University, Transatlantic Slave. They estimated from July 2021. This is the time I was doing live streams at the time. They was updating the whole time, the whole thing. So now we got to go to disembark. You see the percentage, what Cuba said is 889, 90, and things like that. So it's like, we here now, and I'm just going by yeah, I'm just gonna get it in motion. I don't mean to pause right quick because I try not to get distracted. Okay, Gulf turning 56, 48,000. And then you got the disembark is 78 or something like that. No, 78 and 5,000. I mean, 778,541. And that's how it is. And, and arriving and all this Georgia, Carolinas, United States, you name it, the numbers is proven. But yeah, you see the map, you see the go where they go from the, I think, right of there and the right in the beginning. I mean, these areas, the Gold Coast, of course, and Cuba, Jamaica. You see all this stuff right here. That's what they're pointing at. That's a lot. The voyage directions of the transatlantic slave, all Africans to all American regions. That's how that goes, and that's the history. In Western Central Africa, they don't talk about this. Western Central Africa, most of them come from Central Africa and underneath. Very, very various things over here. All this right here, very detailed and everything. So I'm just gonna look at it for what it is, and I'm gonna big up myself on the screen and explain. Well, basically, you have people brought over here around the times of the periods, different periods that people come. Some people come freely later on, other groups. But it's a complicated issue. And I think part of it, when you talk about the Caribbean aspect, so that's how it really started. It didn't really start to America. So it's all part of America, so it don't really matter. So that FBA feds wearing bullshit from Tariq is BS. He ain't teaching but false history, and he teaches it, but he don't go in depth on it like this guy does. Shouts out to this guy with realhistory.com. He gives you the facts and what's going on, and that's it. That's why I don't support the FBA movement. I don't support anything they say. We are foundational people, but we're not Americans. That's just a nationality. Nationalities don't mean nothing. I'm sorry. They do mean something in a Genesis to Malachi sense as nations and empires and groups, but not no insularity nationalities that has no basis. I'm sorry. It's just you can't say what's what. There's groups. They're nothing but group nationalities. I don't believe in that. I believe in nationalities that have a nation of all peoples. We're under one umbrella, one belief, and we serve Yah of hosts in the scriptures. That's our people. Everybody else, not so much. They in idolatry and three religions, and they confused in their head. That's why I'm bringing this out about the historical facts about slave trade, Deuteronomy, and all this other stuff. But I'm also bringing it from a modern perspective, not just the scriptures point of view, but a modern perspective. Evidence the guy said Emory University updated from 3 years ago, and I remember 2021 when he did this, and he got his site back, unfortunately. Thank goodness he got, and shouts out to him again. And as you can see, and then I'm gonna bring it back. You see all the stuff that's here that matters, and you see what's going on. So I'm gonna stop sharing and just leave it there as it may. So me talking about it in a sense that slavery was a real thing. And people try to denounce it. You got to go into Caribbean culture, and if you have Caribbean background, they steal your people too. It's just different nations. And the so-called white control is real. So that really matters in this day and time. But you have all the exports. Everybody's been modernized in the utilitarian concepts today, and they're all messed up. And they taught us this stuff for years and years ago. So that's a little history of it. That's of it. I'm not gonna go in depth on it because I made like 28 something minutes of it talking about it. It's nothing to talk about at this point. But I think once you get into the historical aspect, what I'm saying is I'm just talking to y'all for like a couple of minutes, and then before I dip and all this other stuff, it just goes to show you that that's just the beginning of it. This is the type of content you're gonna get most of the time. It's one of those things that I feel that should we touched on and touch on this, and I put this in my capitalism folder and things like that nature. So I'm not trying to pick anybody's brain or anything, but I'm just looking at things what I got in here in this arsenal. And the most erotic art, I'm not doing that. That's a private session off air. I can show y'all that. Y'all can do what y'all want with that. I could do that on another platform with that. In the history of writing, I can do that. Talk about ancient stuff. and talk about cultures and Samaria. I'll do that probably next week. That's something to push. So talking about writing and things like that. Yeah, I'm put that under capitalism as well. And we'll put that under. So yeah. So that's the thing that we have. You know what I'm saying? But shouts out to the people that support the channel, whatever, and the live streams. You know, I will live stream, according to that day. It's called Hump Day, and we'll talk about current events and whatever. So with that, until next time, shalom to the people, the Israel, shalom to the Gentiles as well. Until next time, I'm signing off and I'm out.